So, I want you to imagine waking up, grabbing your phone, checking your bank account, and seeing that someone took out a second mortgage in your name.
Oh, wow. Yeah, pure panic right there.
Right. Complete panic. So, you immediately call the bank, and the bank representative tells you, well, our records show you requested this mortgage in person at one of our physical branches.
Which is already crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you ask for the timestamp, right? You want to know when this happened, and they tell you it happened at 3:01 a.m.
Oh, right, when every single branch is locked and completely dark.
Yeah, completely closed. So you ask them to explain how that is even physically possible, and they just shrug.
They have no idea.
Right. Now imagine that exact scenario happening, but instead of a bank, it's your telecom provider.
Yeah.
The company that basically holds the literal keys to your entire digital life, your two-factor authentication, your personal data, all of it.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like the premise for some kind of dystopian thriller.
It really does.
But for millions of consumers who are, just trying to navigate the prepaid wireless market, that level of gaslighting is basically just a standard Tuesday.
Yeah, it really is. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at this massive stack of sources to figure out exactly how the telecom industry got to this breaking point.
And we have some really incredible material to work with.
We do. We have this viral firsthand blog post, complete with a super detailed timeline from a customer named Minister Twana Yvette.
Right.
And she experienced this borderline surreal, just chaotic encounter at a Metro PCS store.
Which, just for context, is now known as Metro by T-Mobile.
Right, Metro by T-Mobile. And we're pairing her story with thousands of Better Business Bureau complaints, Consumer Reports data, and even the chilling details of a 2013 wrongful death lawsuit in Florida.
Plus that massive 2019 lawsuit from the city of New York.
Yes. And we're even digging into the actual terms and conditions hidden inside T-Mobile's latest app updates.
Which is highly concerning, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. So our mission today is basically to take Twana's highly specific, localized nightmare and use it as a lens.
Right, because when you cross-reference her afternoon at, a standard strip mall with all this broader legal and corporate data, you realize something really important.
Yeah, that her story isn't just some wild, funny anecdote.
Exactly. It is a masterclass in modern corporate liability.
Yeah.
I mean, it exposes this massive systemic breakdown where poor corporate policy, physical vulnerability, and digital insecurity all just crash into each other.
And the deliberate erosion of consumer rights, too. We can't forget that part.
Oh, 100%. It's all connected.
So let's just set the scene, because we really have to start with the physical space. Twana and her mom walked into a Metro PCS just to handle a really standard account issue.
I think she just needed to unlock an old phone.
Exactly. And she notes in her timeline that she was mentally preparing herself for the notoriously long wait.
Which, I mean, anyone who's ever been to a cell phone store knows that dread.
Oh, yeah, you just know you're losing your afternoon. But she finally gets to the counter. She's having this perfectly normal, completely mundane conversation with the cashier. And then the intrusion happens.
Right. A man walks into the store.
Yeah.
And Twana observes almost immediately that he is mumbling to himself.
Yeah, just talking to thin air.
Exactly. He's not on a Bluetooth headset or anything. He's just openly conversing with the air, which is, a classic behavioral red flag in any retail environment.
But she minds her business, which is what we all do, right?
Of course. You just ignore it and hope it goes away.
Right. Until you can't. Because this guy doesn't take a number. He doesn't sit in the little waiting area. He walks directly up to the counter and physically inserts himself into Twana's transaction.
Right, into her personal space.
Yeah. He doesn't work there. He has never met her in his life.
Yeah.
And he looks at her and aggressively tells her to step aside and, quote, go to God about your phone issues.
I mean, the sheer audacity of that moment is just staggering.
It's completely absurd.
He is literally attempting to override a basic retail transaction with a completely unsolicited theological directive.
Go to God about your data plan. Like, what? But I have to say, I love Twana's reaction here.
Oh, it was brilliant.
She deploys this instant de-escalation tactic. She just laughs.
Right.
Her mom laughs. And Twana looks at him and essentially says, I have way bigger and more important things to talk to God about than a stupid cell phone.
Which, structurally speaking, is the perfect response. I mean, she is using humor to diffuse the tension, but she's also firmly maintaining her boundary.
Right. She's not backing down.
Exactly. She is signaling to this man, I am not participating in whatever reality you are trying to construct right now.
The problem is the stranger completely rejects her boundary.
Yeah, he does not take it well.
No, he doesn't. And this is where we get what Twana describes in her timeline as the first crash out.
Right, he just loses his mind.
He absolutely loses it. He starts screaming at the top of his lungs right in the middle of this retail store about the Bible and the end times.
Just a full-blown public meltdown.
Yeah. But Twana holds her ground. She tells him really firmly that he is in the wrong place for this kind of display and, he needs to go read Revelations.
I actually find that detail fascinating. She meets him on his own textual ground.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, she isn't just telling him to go away, right?
Yeah.
She's actively challenging the premise of his outburst,
Yeah.
using the exact framework that he brought up.
And his response is just this full volume, completely unhinged no in front of everyone.
Just a toddler temper tantrum.
Basically. And this is where the encounter turns into a movie scene. This is the clash of titles.
Oh, yes. The title card drop.
The stranger puffs his chest out, right,
Yeah.
and he attempts to pull rank on her. He introduces himself as brother such and such from a local church.
Right.
Like, he clearly expects her to recognize his local celebrity status, be totally intimidated by his title, and just yield the floor to him.
He is weaponizing this perceived social hierarchy. He assumes that his status within a specific community somehow grants him authority over a total stranger in a purely commercial space.
It honestly reminds me of an unscripted professional wrestling promo.
That's a great analogy.
Right. You have two wrestlers in the ring. One guy grabs the microphone, drops a title card, and just waits for the crowd to gasp.
Waiting for the reaction.
Yeah. It's a total mismatch of energy for a Tuesday afternoon in a strip mall. But Twana matches his energy brilliantly. She drops the ultimate reverse Uno card.
She really does.
She looks him and says, well, I am Minister Twana Yvette.
I love that so much. She neutralizes his entire power play in one single sentence.
Just shuts him down.
Completely. I mean, he tried to use a religious title to dominate her,
Yeah.
and she basically reveals that she actually outranks him in the exact same hierarchy he was trying to exploit.
And the result of that is the final absolute crash out.
Right, he just breaks.
He does. Spit is physically flying from his mouth. Veins are popping in his neck. He is yelling so loudly and aggressively that he becomes completely unintelligible.
Which is a genuinely dangerous escalation.
It is. And at this point, Twana realizes, this person is beyond reasoning. He clearly needs serious help, and she absolutely refuses to stand there and be disrespected.
So she makes the smartest choice available.
Exactly. She walks away. She heads outside.
Though her mother does remain in the store for just a moment longer.
Right. Her mom stays behind briefly, and when she finally comes outside, she gives Twana the epilogue to the whole thing.
Right, the aftermath.
Apparently, as soon as Twana walked out the door, this guy turned all his unhinged rage directly onto the cashier behind the counter.
Which just shows he was just looking for a target.
Exactly. He started screaming that Twana and her mom were fake ministers. Like, he is desperately trying to win an argument that he started with a total stranger who has literally already left the building.
It is a remarkable documentation of erratic human behavior. It really is.
That's wild.
But if we pivot from the anecdote to the systemic issue. Right. If we really look at the core mission of our deep dive today,
Yeah, let's get into that.
the most alarming detail in this entire timeline actually has nothing to do with the screaming stranger.
It's the Metro staff.
Exactly. It's the staff. Throughout this entire ordeal, the screaming match, the flying spit, the vein-popping aggression directed at a female customer.
They did absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
No manager stepped out from the back room. No security was called. Nobody even picked up the phone to dial 911 to protect a patron in their store.
They just watched it happen.
Yeah, they stood there and watched a customer get verbally attacked like it was an episode of reality television.
And this bystander effect, it's not just an isolated incident of poor employee training on a random afternoon.
Right, it's much bigger than that.
When you examine the broader industry data, this paralysis is a symptom of a massive institutional failure.
Okay, I want to dig into that because it genuinely confuses me. Because if a stranger walks into a bank or a pharmacy or a grocery store and starts screaming and spitting in another customer's face, security is summoned immediately.
You're right.
A manager physically intervenes, the police are called. So why is a telecom store treated like the Wild West?
Well, it all comes down to corporate structure and really how these massive parent companies choose to allocate risk.
Okay.
In a standard corporate retail environment, like, say, a flagship Apple store or a corporate-owned Best Buy,
Right.
There is a unified, strictly enforced safety policy. Employees undergo mandatory de-escalation training. There are silent panic buttons wired right under the cash registers.
So they have real infrastructure.
Exactly. High-traffic or high-risk locations employ licensed on-site security guards. In those models, the parent corporation absorbs the financial liability for the safety of the physical space.
But Metro doesn't operate under that model, do they?
No, not at all. The vast majority of Metro stores operate under what we could basically call the franchise loophole.
The franchise loophole.
Yeah. They are independently owned small businesses. The parent company, which is T-Mobile, grants an independent operator the right to use the Metro branding, sell their network access, and distribute their phones.
Right.
But the day-to-day operations, specifically including physical security protocols, are left entirely up to the discretion of the individual franchise owner.
Wait, I need to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because franchising is everywhere, right? McDonald's is a franchise.
Right.
But if I buy a McDonald's franchise, corporate tells me exactly what temperature to cook the fries, exactly how to mop the floors, and exactly what my liability insurance needs to look like.
That's true.
So if they can micromanage the temperature of a French fry, why can't T-Mobile dictate the basic security protocols of a Metro store?
That is a phenomenal question. And the difference lies in what the corporation prioritizes as a threat to their core business.
Okay.
Fast food corporations know that food poisoning is an existential threat to their brand equity, right? So they mandate health standards strictly.
Right. Nobody goes to a place if they think they'll get sick.
Exactly. But for telecom franchises, the core product isn't the physical store. It's the digital network and the recurring monthly subscription.
I see.
The physical store is essentially just an onboarding terminal.
So they just don't care about the physical space as long as the activations just keep rolling in.
It's actually worse than that. By intentionally not mandating unified security standards, they create an environment that consumer advocates call profit over safety.
Wow. Profit over safety.
Yeah, because security guards, bulletproof glass, hardwired panic buttons, advanced surveillance systems, these require significant capital expenditure.
They're expensive.
Very. And they eat directly into a franchise owner's tight profit margins. Unless the parent company contractually forces the owner to install them, the owner usually just won't.
That makes sense, sadly.
And by keeping those standards completely out of the franchise agreement, the parent company maintains plausible deniability.
And this isn't just a theoretical problem about customers getting yelled at either.
Not at all.
I mean, the stakes are literally life and death. The source material outlines this horrifying historical precedent for how dangerous this security vacuum really is. We have to talk about the 2013 tragedy in Florida.
Yes, it is a deeply chilling case study. In 2013, a 20-year-old clerk working at a Metro PCS store in Florida was murdered during an armed robbery.
Just awful.
Truly.
Mm.
And when the victim's family subsequently sued the company, the details that emerged in discovery were just damning.
What did they find?
Well, this specific store was located in a known high-crime area. In fact, that exact location had been robbed at gunpoint just 6 months prior.
So it wasn't a surprise. The data was there. They knew it was a target.
Exactly. They possessed undeniable knowledge of the risk. Yet, the lawsuit highlighted severe store design flaws that prioritize marketing over human life.
Marketing? Like what?
The store windows were heavily plastered with large, opaque promotional advertisements. These ads entirely blocked visibility from the street.
Oh my God, so a clerk inside couldn't see a threat approaching the door? And a police cruiser driving by couldn't see inside if an armed robbery was in progress?
Precisely. It created a visual blackout zone.
That's insane.
Furthermore, the lawsuit alleged there were no panic buttons, no bulletproof partition for the cashier, and no security personnel whatsoever.
Just left completely vulnerable.
The family's legal team argued that the company was entirely negligent, that basic, industry-standard security measures could have prevented a murder.
But because of that franchise model, the corporate entity tries to just wash its hands of it.
Right, they just deflect.
They point at the small business owner and say, hey, not our problem. And what is incredibly disturbing when you dive into the Better Business Bureau data, the thousands of BBB reports we reviewed.
Right.
The threat inside these stores isn't just coming from random, unhinged strangers or armed robbers.
No, it's not.
Sometimes the physical threat is the staff themselves.
That is a very distinct and really troubling pattern in the data. You have multiple customers documenting extreme, unprovoked aggression from the employees working behind the counter.
Yeah, let me pull the specific one because I want to make sure I get the details right.
Go ahead.
There is a formal complaint about an employee named Sean Lee at a store in Rolling Meadows, Illinois.
Okay.
A customer walks in, simply asking for clarification about a sudden issue with their data plan. Just a simple question.
Right. Standard customer service.
According to the BBB complaint, this employee didn't just give bad customer service, he tried to physically attack the customer
Wow.
over a data plan.
Yes. He started swearing at them, acting violently, and screaming at them to get out of the store, just for asking a question about a data cap.
And unfortunately, the data shows that isn't an isolated anomaly.
Not at all. There's another detailed report in here of a customer trying to process a really simple, standard device return.
Okay.
The male employee gets incredibly loud, physically stands up to intimidate the customer, and starts acting highly aggressively, yelling that they don't process returns at that location.
Which is already out of line.
But it doesn't end when the customer leaves the store.
According to the report, when the customer walked out to the parking lot, this employee allegedly followed them outside and began slowly circling their vehicle in the parking lot.
Which completely crosses the threshold from poor customer service into targeted physical intimidation and stalking.
Right. So put yourself in the shoes of the consumer for a second.
Yeah.
You go to a retail center that has a giant, glowing, corporate Metro by T-Mobile sign above the door. You assume there's corporate accountability.
Of course you do. It's a major brand.
But an employee circles your car, or a stranger spits in your face while the staff just watches. And corporate's response is, well, our hands are tied. That's an independent franchise.
Right.
It just seems like a highly convenient legal shield.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Like it's just a way for a multi-billion-dollar entity to reap all the financial benefits of a massive retail footprint without paying a dime for the security required to maintain it.
You've identified the exact mechanism of the franchise liability shield.
Yeah.
By structurally detaching themselves from the physical retail operations, the parent company insulates its core assets.
They just collect the money.
They collect the franchise fees. They benefit immensely from the localized marketing and the physical activations. But when a store gets robbed or a customer is assaulted, the legal firewall protects the parent company.
It's so deceptive.
It is. The branding implies a unified corporate standard of safety that simply does not exist in reality.
Okay, so if the physical space is this compromised, I mean, if corporate policy deliberately creates this physical vacuum where security is optional and staff are paralyzed,
Right.
how does that philosophy translate to the digital side? Because if I can't trust the store to protect my physical safety, can I trust their network to protect my highly sensitive digital data?
Well, based on Tawana's account and the thousands of consumer reports corroborating her experience, the answer is a resounding no.
Not at all.
And this brings us directly to the digital vulnerability side of the equation.
This is the part of the deep dive that legitimately feels like a Twilight Zone episode to me.
It's wild.
Let's go back to Tawana's timeline. While this stranger is screaming at her about revelations, the store manager is supposedly in the background trying to fix Tawana's underlying account issue.
Right.
But to do that, the manager, who is physically standing behind a register inside a Metro store, has to pick up a phone and call a 1-800 customer service number.
Which, as an operational detail, immediately exposes how little structural empowerment the local franchise staff actually possesses.
Oh, absolutely.
They do not have the back-end system access to resolve complex database issues themselves. They're essentially just front-end data entry clerks.
Exactly. So the manager is on the phone with the corporate rep, and the rep tells the manager, well, the records show that the customer came inside a physical store to make these account changes.
Okay.
The manager, who is standing 2 feet away from Tawana, asks, okay, well, which store did she go to? And the corporate rep says, I don't know.
They are operating a database architecture that flags an in-person physical retail change, but inexplicably laps the basic audit trail to identify the specific location or employee ID associated with that change.
It's absurd.
It is a staggering, almost purposeful lack of data integrity.
But here's the piece that really blows my mind. The manager looks at the timestamps for when these mysterious, unauthorized account changes were supposedly made in person.
Right.
And the timestamps show the changes happening at hours when the store was completely closed.
The impossible timestamps. It literally defies the basic laws of physics and retail operating hours.
How does that actually happen? I mean, mechanically. Is it a ghost in the machine? Is a hacker breaking in?
What?
Because going back to my intro, if my bank said I applied for a mortgage in a closed branch at 3 a.m., I would assume massive fraud. How does a telecom database generate an impossible timestamp?
From a technical and systemic standpoint, there are three primary mechanisms that could explain this. And none of them are good for the consumer.
Okay, lay them out for us.
First, you have server synchronization errors. Metro outsources heavy amounts of its back-end processing offshore.
Right.
If a server in a different global time zone processes an internal change, the timestamp might reflect the server's local time rather than the store's local time.
So just incredibly sloppy IT infrastructure.
Yes, just poor synchronization.
Okay.
The second possibility is batch processing.
How does that work?
Sometimes franchise locations don't push all their system changes to the main corporate database in real time. The system batches all the day's physical transactions and processes them automatically in the middle of the night to save bandwidth.
Oh, I see.
So a change made at 2:00 p.m. might get stamped at 3:00 a.m. when the central server finally logs it.
Okay, that makes technical sense, even if it's confusing for the user. But what is the third possibility?
The third possibility is deliberate back-end manipulation by franchise employees.
Ah, here we go.
Franchisees have strict sales quotas to meet for activations and upgrades.
Right. There's always a quota.
If an employee is short on their quota, there is a known industry practice of logging into customer accounts after hours, adding unauthorized features, or processing phantom plan upgrades.
Whoa.
They do this late at night specifically so the customer doesn't receive an immediate text message alert while they are awake.
That is so shady.
It is. The employee gets the commission credit for the quota, and by the time the customer notices the extra charge on their bill a month later, the employee hopes the customer will just be too exhausted by the system to fight it.
That is terrifying. And if we look at the source material concerning, unauthorized plan changes, this impossible timestamp scenario is not a one-off glitch.
Not at all.
It's not just a weird anomaly on Twanna's account. This is a documented systemic pattern affecting everyday users.
The data reveals a multitude of customer reports detailing accounts being fundamentally altered without consent.
Yeah, I was reading through those.
We're seeing customers' core service plans being switched to entirely different tiers. We're seeing secondary phone lines being added to accounts covertly.
Just phantom lines appearing.
Yes. We are seeing premium device insurance being tacked onto monthly bills without a shred of authorization.
Which adds up so fast.
And, just like Twana, when these customers attempt to investigate the origin of the fraud, the database mysteriously cannot provide a record of who initiated the change or when it genuinely occurred.
There was one report in the data from a customer who completely lost their unlimited hotspot feature.
Right, I remember that one.
They had this grandfathered legacy plan with no end date. And one day, they were secretly swapped over to a new $50 plan that didn't include hotspot access at all.
No warning.
No warning, no email, no permission, just gone.
Another really detailed report involved a customer who was continually charged for a secondary phone they had actively deactivated and were no longer using.
Oh, that's infuriating.
They tried to cancel the line in store, they opened multiple escalation tickets over the phone, and the phantom charges just kept regenerating on their monthly statement.
So we have to talk about the why. Because this kind of widespread systemic error rarely happens by accident.
No, it doesn't.
You mentioned the quotas earlier. Is this entirely driven by localized pressure at the store level, or is there a bigger corporate strategy at play here?
It is really a combination of localized pressure and corporate financial modeling. Store employees are under immense pressure to upsell. They are heavily driven by metrics.
Which leads directly to deceptive marketing practices.
Precisely.
Or
Take the ubiquitous phone on us promotions.
oh, yeah, you see those ads everywhere.
They are heavily marketed as a completely free hardware upgrade. But consumers frequently report that accepting this quote-unquote free phone triggers hidden plan changes in the back end.
Right.
Suddenly, your base monthly rate is $15 higher, and those recurring fees were never disclosed at the physical point of sale.
It's the illusion of a hardware deal masking a permanent service rate hike.
Exactly. And from a high-level corporate perspective, you really have to analyze the reliance on customer fatigue.
Customer fatigue.
Yeah. As one industry reviewer astutely noted, these telecom giants seem to be factoring in a specific psychological reality.
Which is?
A large percentage of prepaid customers will simply not notice an extra $3 or $4 a month for a phantom insurance charge.
And even if they do notice, fighting it is a nightmare.
Right. When you spread a hidden $4 fee across a user base of millions of prepaid customers, it generates immense, effortless revenue.
Millions of dollars.
The corporation knows that the friction required for a consumer to actually get that $4 removed is so incredibly high, most people will just surrender and pay it.
Which perfectly transitions us to the next phase of this nightmare. Because when the local franchise store fails you and your digital account is haunted by impossible timestamps and ghost charges, what is the natural next step for any rational consumer?
You seek a higher authority. You turn to corporate customer service.
Right. You call the 1-800 number. But as Tuana discovered, and as our data heavily reinforces, the customer service route is basically an engineered black hole.
It really is.
And I think it's crucial to point out here that this chaotic day was not Tuana's first rodeo with Metro. She had a deep history of grievances with this company.
The screaming match with the stranger was merely the breaking point.
Yeah.
The foundation of profound distrust had been laid long before she ever walked into that store.
She had already filed formal complaints against them with the Better Business Bureau twice before this ever happened.
Right.
And one of those previous grievances involved a notorious industry practice, the water damage scam.
Ah, yes. This is a highly prevalent, heavily documented issue in telecom retail, particularly in the prepaid sector.
So previously, Metro had lied to her. They claimed her phone had water damage when it absolutely did not.
Right.
Can you mechanically explain how this scam actually works? Because on the surface, it sounds like just an honest mistake, but the sources indicate it is an incredibly effective tool for forced sales.
It is a highly effective mechanism to void manufacturer warranties and dodge liability for defective hardware. Inside almost every modern smartphone, usually near the charging port or the SIM card tray, there is a tiny sticker called an LDI.
An LDI. What does that stand for?
A liquid damage indicator.
Okay, and what does it do?
Under normal conditions, the sticker is white or silver. If it comes into direct contact with liquid, a chemical reaction occurs, and the sticker turns pink or bright red.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah. So what customers consistently report is that they will bring in a defective phone, perhaps the battery is rapidly draining, or the motherboard is failing.
Right, something that's the manufacturer's fault.
Exactly, something which should be fully covered for free replacement under warranty. But the store employee will inspect the device, point to the LDI, and falsely claim the moisture indicator is tripped.
Oh, I'm sorry. You dropped it in a puddle. Water damage. Your warranty is completely voided.
Precisely. Now here's the mechanical trick. Those LDI stickers are highly, highly sensitive.
Like they trip easily.
Yes. They can be tripped by high ambient humidity, rapid temperature fluctuations that cause internal condensation, or even just having the phone in your pocket during a heavy workout.
Wow, just sweat can do it.
Yes. And the employees know this. They exploit these false positives.
That's so manipulative.
Once they declare water damage, the store is legally absolved from repairing or replacing the device for free. It instantly forces the customer into a desperate corner where their only option is to purchase a brand new device, often at full retail markup, or by locking into a new, more expensive service plan.
It is literally a fabricated, weaponized problem designed to generate a forced sale.
It absolutely is.
And when Tuana realized she was being scammed, she tried to fight this fake water damage claim. She got a manager on the phone.
Right.
And what happened? The manager didn't investigate. The manager didn't ask for photos of the device. According to Tuana, the manager just read verbatim from a script.
This is a total wall.
Yeah, the manager kept repeating the exact same corporate phrasing over and over and over again, refusing to deviate from the cue card until Tuana finally just hung up in sheer, unadulterated frustration.
And we really must understand that her frustration is not an accident.
Right.
It is a feature, not a bug, of the outsourced customer service model.
Explain that, because I think most people just assume outsourced customer service is just about, saving money on salaries.
It's much more than that.
You're saying it's a structural barrier.
It is both. The source material explicitly references customer complaints regarding Metro's call centers being located outside the U.S., specifically mentioning facilities in South Africa.
Right.
Now, the geographic location of the call center is actually irrelevant to the core problem. The core problem is the technical infrastructure and authorization provided to those offshore representatives.
Right. They don't actually have the tools to do the job.
Exactly. These telecom giants outsource the labor to drastically reduce overhead, but they do not provide those offshore representatives with actual administrative access to the underlying customer databases.
So it's like complaining about a terrible meal to a waiter who isn't actually allowed to enter the kitchen.
That is a perfect analogy.
Like, they can nod, they can apologize, they can read you the menu again, but they don't have the physical clearance to walk back there and remake your food.
Yes, the representatives are given strict decision trees, corporate scripts, and extremely limited read-only permissions.
Read only, so they can see the problem but can't touch it.
Right. So when a customer calls with a complex systemic issue, like a 3.00 a.m. impossible timestamp or a fraudulent water damage claim, the representative literally cannot solve the problem, even if they desperately want to. They do not possess the digital keys.
They are essentially human answering machines designed to absorb your anger until you just get tired.
They are corporate heat shields.
Heat shields. Wow.
The customer is forced into a maddening recursive loop, having to explain their complex issue endlessly to a rotating cast of different representatives, none of whom have the power to actually fix the database. It is an exercise in engineered exhaustion.
Engineered exhaustion. And the data backs this up in a brutal, undeniable way. We are not just relying on Twanna's anecdotes here. Let's look at the grim statistics from the sources.
The numbers are pretty stark.
On the customer service scoreboard, Metro PCS holds a score of 31 out of a possible 200.
That is an abysmally low metric for a company of this scale.
Almost 93% of all the reviews on that platform are negative. The Better Business Bureau gives them a flat, unyielding F rating.
An F rated.
And listen to this. Over 4,164 formal complaints logged in just a 3-year window.
When you cross the threshold of over 4,000 formal documented complaints to a regulatory bureau, you are no longer observing isolated incidents or a few poorly managed franchise stores.
Right. That's not just a few bad apples.
You are looking at a corporate culture that fundamentally disregards the consumer experience the moment the initial sale is completed.
Okay, which brings us to the ultimate question of this deep dive, the parent company paradox.
Right.
If the physical stores are a security vacuum and the digital accounts are compromised by ghost timestamps and the customer service is a scripted black hole, who is actually driving this ship? Who is accountable?
The answer is T-Mobile.
Right. And I feel like a lot of average consumers might not realize the corporate structure there. T-Mobile entirely owns Metro.
Yes, they do. To provide the necessary historical context, T-Mobile US acquired Metro PCS in a complex reverse merger that officially closed in May of 2013.
Break down that reverse merger for a second, because that sounds like Wall Street jargon. Why a reverse merger?
Sure. At the time, Metro PCS was a publicly traded company.
Okay.
T-Mobile USA was essentially a subsidiary of the massive German telecom Deutsche Telekom, and they were struggling to compete with AT&T and Verizon.
Right, they were kind of the underdog.
By executing a reverse merger, the private T-Mobile essentially swallowed the public Metro PCS. This allowed T-Mobile to instantly become a publicly traded company without going through the agonizing, highly regulated process of a traditional initial public offering.
Oh, I see. A shortcut.
Exactly. More importantly, it gave T-Mobile instant, massive access to the highly lucrative prepaid cellular market. Following the acquisition, they eventually rebranded it to Metro by T-Mobile, positioning it as their primary prepaid subsidiary.
So they bought the company, they swallowed the customer base, they slapped their magenta logo on the storefronts. But instead of auditing the stores and fixing these glaring systemic problems, T-Mobile has maintained this very deliberate, calculated distance from the day-to-day chaos.
Exactly. They desire the immense revenue stream of the prepaid market without absorbing the operational headaches and liability of managing those stores to their flagship corporate standards.
And their favorite defense mechanism is the blame game.
Oh, always.
Whenever government agencies or journalists or consumer advocacy groups confront T-Mobile about the fraud happening in Metro stores, what is their immediate response? Oh, it's not us. It's those rogue authorized dealers.
The franchise defense deployed as a corporate shield.
But I love this detail from the source documents because it completely detonates that defense. In 2019, the city of New York literally sued T-Mobile over the rampant deceptive practices occurring at Metro stores.
It was a highly significant, meticulously researched lawsuit.
It really was. And the lawsuit revealed that these incredibly deceptive practices, selling used refurbished phones and actively claiming they were brand new, charging fake taxes and arbitrary fees that go straight into the store owner's pocket.
Pushing customers into secret installment plans.
Yes, and aggressively pitching a 30-day money-back guarantee that was actually only 7 days with a million hidden restrictions.
Just scam after scam.
Right. And this wasn't just happening at a few rogue mom-and-pop franchise stores. The New York lawsuit specifically documented that this widespread fraud was happening across 56 different locations in the city,
And here's the key point.
including both independent franchise locations and the corporate-owned stores.
That is the critical, undeniable detail. By legally proving that the exact same deceptive behavior was standard operating procedure at corporate-owned and operated locations, the lawsuit dismantled the narrative that this was merely a problem with independent dealers.
They couldn't hide behind the franchise excuse anymore.
Exactly. It demonstrated in court a top-down systemic culture of deception endorsed by the parent company.
It definitively proves the call is coming from inside the house. And honestly, T-Mobile cannot act shocked by this behavior because they have their own rich corporate history of doing the exact same kind of stuff to their flagship customer.
Indeed. If you examine T-Mobile's broader corporate history, they have faced massive, sweeping regulatory action for incredibly similar practices.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
The most prominent and relevant example being the massive $90 million settlement they reached with the Federal Trade Commission over a practice known as cramming.
Okay, we need to deep dive into cramming because mechanically, it sounds exactly like what Metro is doing with the secret device insurance and the hotspot changes. How did the T-Mobile cramming scheme actually work?
Cramming is the highly illegal practice of placing unauthorized third-party charges on a customer's monthly phone bill.
Okay.
So a customer might look at their bill and see a vague $9.99 monthly charge for a premium text message service they never ever signed up for. Things like daily horoscopes, celebrity gossip alerts, or flirt
It's
tips.
just total junk.
Total junk.
And the FTC discovered that T-Mobile wasn't just accidentally letting these charges slip through, right? They were actively profiting from them.
Heavily profiting.
Yeah.
T-Mobile was found to be taking a substantial cut, often up to 40% of those fraudulent third-party charges.
40%?
Yes. They made tens of millions of dollars off of billing their own customers for digital garbage they never authorized. And they intentionally buried those fees deep within incredibly complex, multi-page monthly statements, knowing the average consumer wouldn't notice a $9 discrepancy.
Let's talk about the economics of that for a second, because if you steal $10 from a million people, that's $10 million of pure, unadulterated profit.
Correct.
Even if you eventually get caught and fined by the FTC, the fine is often just a fraction of what you made.
It becomes a calculated cost of doing business. The profit generated by the systemic fraud far outweighs the eventual regulatory penalty.
Sound familiar? It's the exact same playbook Metro is running with the impossible timestamps and the hidden insurance fees, just using different shell games.
It's the same fundamental architecture of deception.
And here is where this deep dive gets genuinely terrifying for modern consumers. We talk about fighting back, right? If you get scammed, you sue. If millions of people get scammed, you join a class action lawsuit and force the company to change its behavior. But one of the sources we reviewed, this AI-generated legal advice summary regarding recent app updates, pointed out how T-Mobile is actively legally stripping away consumer rights as we speak.
Yes, the legal landscape for the consumer is shrinking rapidly, and the mechanism they are using to do it is insidious.
If you are listening to this right now and you have ever just blindly clicked agree on a software update for an app on your phone without reading the 40 pages of legal text, this next section is exactly why that is terrifying.
Pay close attention here.
To even use the T-Life app, which is basically required to manage your T-Mobile or Metro account on your smartphone these days, T-Mobile forces you to agree to a new set of terms and conditions.
Wow.
And buried deep in that legal jargon is a mandatory clause for forced individual arbitration.
Forced arbitration is perhaps the most devastating legal maneuver a corporation can deploy against its user base.
Break down the mechanics of arbitration for us. Why is this so dangerous?
When you agree to forced arbitration, you are legally waiving your Seventh Amendment right to a trial by jury in a public court of law.
Wow. Waiving your constitutional right.
Yes. Instead, any dispute you have with the company must be settled in a private hearing in front of a private arbitrator who is often selected and paid by the corporation itself.
So they pay the judge.
Exactly. The proceedings are secret, and the decisions are almost impossible to appeal.
But the truly devastating part is the individual aspect.
Exactly. You also waive your right to join a class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
So let's return to the economics of cramming we just talked about.
Okay.
If T-Mobile utilizes an impossible timestamp to overcharge 10 million people by $5, those 10 million people cannot band together to sue T-Mobile for $50 million.
Because they agreed to the app terms.
Right. Each individual person is legally forced to hire a lawyer, pay filing fees, and take T-Mobile to a private, secret arbitrator over their specific $5.
Which absolutely nobody is going to do.
Of course not.
You aren't going to spend $1,000 in months of your life to recover a $5 overcharge. It essentially grants the corporation total legal immunity from small dollar, widespread fraud.
It's brilliant in a very dark way.
It legally blocks consumers from holding them accountable on a systemic level.
It is the ultimate impenetrable legal shield. They have insulated themselves from the physical dangers of the retail stores through the franchise loophole, and they are now insulating themselves from financial and legal accountability through forced arbitration clauses hidden in mandatory app updates.
Which brings us all the way back to Minister Twani Yvette.
Yes, back to the beginning.
Standing in that physical Metro store, watching a man spit and scream about the end times while the employees just stare blankly at her, offering absolutely zero help or protection.
Right.
She made a choice that day. She managed to get her old phone unlocked, which she noted in her blog was the only real win of the day, and then she walked away.
She left.
She ended her relationship with Metro right then and there. And she specifically noted that she's sharing this story so people know exactly what goes on in these places.
And looking at the mountain of evidence we have unpacked today, I mean, the physical negligence, the database manipulation, the scripted call centers, and the legal maneuvering of the parent company. Her decision to walk away was profoundly analytically rational.
She realized intuitively what we are realizing analytically right now. Between the aggressive strangers, the phantom account changes at 3 burn a.m., the scripted managers reading off cue cards, and a parent company hiding behind legal loopholes.
The system isn't broken by accident.
No. That is the crucial, inescapable takeaway of this entire analysis. The system is working exactly as designed.
Yes.
It is architecturally designed to maximize revenue while minimizing liability, and it relies entirely on wearing the consumer down until they either pay up in exhaustion or give up and walk away.
So we started this deep dive talking about running errands, right?
Yeah, just a mundane task.
The expectation of a normal, predictable transaction at a retail store. But what Twana's viral story unmasked is a heavily insulated telecom machine that ruthlessly prioritizes profit over physical safety and digital security.
And that is why this story is so deeply relevant to every single person listening. This isn't just a quirky anecdote about Metro PCS. This is a stark reminder to aggressively scrutinize your own telecom bills.
Absolutely.
Look for those impossible timestamps. Question those unexpected $3 increases. And most importantly, recognize that if you are trapped in a loop with a massive corporation, getting the runaround from scripted customer service, you aren't crazy.
You are not crazy. You are experiencing the machine exactly as it was built to be experienced.
Right.
The architecture of that interaction is genuinely built to exhaust you. And sometimes, recognizing that architecture is incredibly empowering.
It really is.
Because it means you can make the choice Twana made. Sometimes walking away, taking your business elsewhere, and publicly sharing your story to warn others is the most powerful consumer choice you have left.
Absolutely. But I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as we wrap up. Because as we move forward into this decade, our cell phones are no longer just optional devices for making calls.
No, there are lifelines.
They are the literal keys to our modern existence. They hold our banking apps, our health data, our private communications, our family photos.
They are the central, indispensable node of our lives.
So if these devices are essential to our basic survival in the digital age, how long can we, as a society, allow the massive telecom companies that provide these essential services to operate in this legal gray area?
This huge question.
How long can they stay shielded by franchise loopholes and forced arbitration while systematically failing to protect the physical and digital safety of their customers? Because the next time a brother such and such causes chaos in a retail store or a digital ghost adds a phantom line to your account at 3:01 a.m., who is really going to be held accountable?
If the current legal trajectory holds, it's a question the corporations have already answered for us.
Because the next time you walk into a phone store expecting a simple transaction, you might just find that the script has already been written entirely against you.